place on the planes, you got your supplies in, and then it plugged into a massive network inside. And this is something I think that can't be overstressed, because I've been involved in all kinds of places in relief efforts for the last, since Biafra, and many countries, but no place where you're working in a place where you had such a network of Christian churches on the ground. I mean, the churches reached down into virtually every village in what became Biafra. So this network of parishes and catechists and teachers, that became the network through which the food was channeled, and really got around the country and really made a huge difference.
The relief organizations were a window to the world during those dark periods. We didn't mind so much the dying. It is the silence attached to the possibility of our death that we couldn't stand. We wanted to be heard actually dying if need be. They became not just friends, they were partners. They were a barometer to everything else. Provided we have the world still reacting in sympathy to our plight, then we had hope. The relief agencies were hope.
The charities brought in hundreds of tons of food each night. This relief prevented mass starvation. What is known today, but was denied at the time, is that this charity also kept the Biafran War effort alive.
Whatever their motive may have been, in actual fact, the war, and certainly the last part of the war, was financed by charity. I think this is the only war in history so far where that's happened. Among other things, in addition to what I've already mentioned, the Biafrans demanded that they should fly in fuel for the civil service and for the armed forces. The charities didn't like to refer to that any more than they liked referring to the landing fee, but the answer was if they didn't do it, they wouldn't be allowed to bring in food.
At a certain stage, if we could get some money from the relief organizations for internal administration of the relief, we would substitute the money by producing Biafran currency to do precisely what they wanted done, whilst we use the foreign hard currency for other military needs, certainly.
Famine relief meant that Biafra could buy guns. The war now seemed to be at a stalemate France sought to break.
Et en effet, pourquoi les Ibos, qui sont chrétiens en général, vivent dans le sud d'une certaine façon, qui ont une langue à eux, pourquoi les Ibos dépendraient-ils d'une autre fraction ethnique de la fédération, car c'est à ça qu'on en arrive. La France, dans cette affaire, aide le Biafra dans la mesure des possibilités.
In August 1968, France began to supply light arms to Biafra. These weapons kept the war going another 15 months.
Biafra had in fact won the propaganda war. And the Biafran belief at this time was that all they had to do was to hang in there, and then the world would come round to the aid of Biafra.
Histories of ages past, unenlightened shadows cast, down through all eternity, the crying of humanity. Just then another figure in my heart singing.
News of continued war and famine increased pressure on the Labour administration. Harold Wilson found himself taunted, his African policy branded ineffectual.
Whatever the rights or wrongs might be from the point of view of British public opinion on the merits of secession, all the countries of Africa are united, and the Organization of African Unity is absolutely solid. It's their first principle, that the secession is wrong, that the existing boundaries, although colonial in origin, are not to be changed.
I think in a sense the British government was in a cleft stick, because while it was supporting Nigeria, there was this tremendous publicity which was being very successful in Britain from the Biafran side. And as Harold Wilson himself said, and he was the premier for most of the time, a week is a long time in politics. And if the Times is coming out, and the Spectator and many other papers later on in the middle of the war saying the British government is the most dastardly beast because it's responsible for the starving babies, then obviously the government is going to want to look as though it's hedging its bets.
Every other week the cabinet sent out a minister to go and report on things in Lagos, so that the Prime Minister in the next question period could say, my right honourable and noble friend Lord Shepherd is now at this moment in Lagos, and he's drawing up a report, personal report for me on this, and I hope the honourable gentleman will consent to put off his question until I have that report. Well, I was trying to get away of getting out of trouble, at least for a week.
Today you send us hundreds of tons of milk, butter, sugar. At the same time, one plane is leaving Gatwick, another plane is leaving to Lagos with arms and ammunition. What's the purpose? Why prolong the agony?
At precisely 1:30 every day, they come over the town as the marketplace is full, as patients are sitting out on the lawns at hospitals. Here comes the next one. He's flying the other side of the mission church, sweeping to the right, sweeping the ground as they move, dropping incendiary bombs and fragmentation bombs in the marketplaces around here.
There were two stories. One in Britain, you got a different story in Britain where the government was trying to minimise the support that they were giving to the Nigerians because of the political pressure against the government and the pro-Biafran